welcome to Association Transformation, the drum roll, the award-winning podcast.
Yay! Here we are. Wow. God, it feels
we are.
It feels different sitting up on this pedestal. It really does. It's like the view from, oh, wait a minute. No.
Well, I'm proud of us. We're grounded. Yeah. We're humble people. We're back at it.
Yeah.
Association Trends was gracious enough to acknowledge us with a silver in the best podcast category. I don't know about you, but I take that as a challenge.
Yeah, sure. Platinum. I want a platinum category next year.
Right. I mean, I'm not satisfied with silver. For.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I mean, especially after the Winter Olympics just completed. Like, I don't know how any bronze or silver medalist can't just be filled with fire to work harder and push and achieve. Wow. I don't know. Maybe you're just complacent and happy with silver, but I
feel under a lot of pressure now. It's like, oh my God. Right. Okay. Well, I feel under pressure, which means on the first, here we are back on our desks, first one back in the saddle, as it were. And
the award-winning saddle.
The award-winning saddle. I think it's just fantastic that our first guest, Marcia Philpin, Chief Executive of let me get this right, the Faculty of Pharmaceutical Medicine. That's right.
Wow, this is serious. The award
more
has
than
brought
two
legitimate
syllables.
People. Yeah, this is stepping it up. We're getting some good guests now that we've won an award.
Yeah, everybody wants to be on it.
Well, can I just say that I am honored to be the first guest of this award-winning podcast.
Oh, look at you. Yeah. Check you out.
See? Now we have award-winning guests. Now we have an award-winning audience. I mean, this is big.
I think, and may I just thank you, Marcia, for being our listener. I think that's really, and it's lovely that we've managed to get our entire audience now onto this one podcast.
Oh, stop it! I don't want you talking about us that way anymore. Do not talk about us that way anymore.
My husband listens as well, so you got two.
There you go. Is it at the same time? Because technically that doesn't really count.
What? I've been counting both my mom and my dad this whole time. No, but seriously. We're an award-winning podcast, so let's take this seriously. Marcia Philpin, Chief Executive, not only a listener, not only an IAL member, not only a contributor to our recent IAL International Women's Day networking group, but a heavy hitter in this space. I mean, she herself is published.
Yeah, and
we have a topic I'm excited about. Something I don't know, Andrew, if you've heard of before, but this concept of the House of Agile and how to ensure not only agility, but sustainability through times of disruption. This is something that Marcia has been talking about for really quite a while. And I'm excited to bring it to the forefront today as part of our first Association Transformation award-winning topic, our first award-winning episode back.
The House of Agile meets the House of Pain. It's brilliant. I love it. Fantastic.
No, the House of Transformation, the House of...
Oh, yeah, that one as well, yeah.
I don't know, House of Gucci. I don't know, I just saw that on the plane.
The House of Endurance.
House of Endurance. So, Marcia, tell us about how this came about, what the House of Agile, what it means. Give us the overview.
So, a couple of years ago, I was doing this training course at the time, it was Cass Business School. It's now been called Bayes Business School. And it was for new CEOs. So I'd only been in post about a year. So I thought it'd be useful to do this training course. And on one of the topics, they gave us a paper to read by McKinsey. And McKinsey's paper, hold on, I've got it here. It is called The 5 Trademarks of Agile Organizations. And in our group, we had to go away and read a paper and think about how it linked to the work that we were doing. And so I read the paper and I thought, there's such a lot in here. And I wanted a way of capturing the 5 traits and being able to visualize it. So I came up with the House of Agile framework. And the other guys in my group, they thought it was brilliant.
Oh, listen to this.
Oh,
Listen to this.
they're already executives. They know when to hop onto someone else's idea.
Oh, it was brilliant. Award-winning, one might even say. Award-winning.
Yeah, award-winning. And I shared it with the wider group and the lecturers. They thought it was brilliant as well.
Oh, really?
So after that, I thought, you know what, I'm going to write a paper on this. And so I wrote an article. So I wrote the article and I had it published in the National Health Executive, which is a magazine that goes to senior leaders across the NHS and healthcare, etc. And it's just been that's how it happened. That's how it happened. And I've been dining on it ever since.
Good for you. Well, I read it and it really did resonate with, our nonprofit environment. And I wonder, I haven't read the original McKinsey piece, but I wonder, was that crafted in a nonprofit context, or did you translate that over?
I translated it. If you read it, and it's quite a long piece, it's several pages, and it's
that's too much for Andrew. He'll have to borrow your idea too. He's out after.
Just give me the 3 top bullet points. That's enough for me.
Yeah. And now they wrote it mainly for commercial organizations, and they wanted to translate organizations from the dominant traditional organization into one that's agile, which is designed for both stability and dynamism, whereas a traditional organization is designed mainly for stability. And that worked when we're in an environment that's stable and predictable. But as we know, since 2020, the environment we're in is anything but stable and predictable. And, everyone's talking about VUCA, volatile, unambiguous, complex, ambiguous. Yeah. So what did I say? VUCA. Okay,
VUCA, volatile.
Those are just all words from Andrew's dating profile. Those are all words from Andrew's dating profile. It's
uncertain. That's it. I said unambiguous.
Uncertain,
it's uncertain.
Absolutely.
That's the word. Yeah. Certain.
Swipe left. Why don't you? Oh my God.
Oh, goodness.
And so particularly for charities as well and not-for-profits operating in this kind of environment, they've had to change how we do things. Right? You think about many not-for-profits and charities. Let's look at charities. A lot of them rely on fundraising for their income. So we go into lockdown, those income streams have just disappeared overnight. Similarly for not-for-profits, many of who have income streams from events and bringing people together, those disappeared overnight. And so either they had to change or they went under.
Well, I think what's really special about the house imagery here, and of course we're on audio, there's no video for our listeners. There are 5 pillars here. Yeah. And you've done more than just take these 5 trademark concepts of structure and people and technology, processes and strategy, but you've formulated them into a visual that really shows how they build upon each other, how they support one another, and in some ways, what must come first.
Yeah.
Now, how has the Faculty of Pharmaceutical Medicine adopted this? Because you didn't just come up with this idea, you lived it, you brought it to life within your own organization. How did that come to be?
So when I sat down, I thought about it, and I'll use the example of the COVID-19 disruption. We had to change how we did things, and we met with the board of trustees, etc., and we agreed, right, you know what, we have to go and change how we do things. We looked at the strategy, and we just changed and focused on different priorities, and so that was the strategy, what is going to be our priority. And our priority was about doing what we could remotely to support our members. And that meant not doing other things that require that in-person connection. Then, we put that to one side. And so I wrote an action plan, a risk register, I shared it with everyone. And so we agreed and focused on the needs. And of course, with many of so for those who don't know, Faculty of Pharmaceutical Medicine is the membership body for doctors who are involved in all aspects of medicine development, which meant many of our members would be involved in developing new vaccines, would be involved in safety testing and making regulatory decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, we were at the heart of a lot of the work that was going on. And so it was about being there to support them. So that was our strategy. And then the other key component, and I made this the foundation, was the technology, because you're going from working in person and we wanted to do things online. And, you know, FPM, it's important to say this, prior to 2020, we didn't really do anything online. I think we didn't do anything online. I think we had a couple of hybrid meetings, right? And I mean a couple. And that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
We did not do anything online. And so we had to, so my first focus was, number one, I had to get the staff up and running, get them connected, make sure everybody was okay. And, you know, thank goodness for things like, you know, Teams and at the time we didn't use Zoom, we had GoToMeetings. So you got these technologies. And then, so, you know, look after the staff. And then we've got our committees, we've got our members, what we're going to do for them. And I have thought, you know what, we've never even done a webinar. And so I had a colleague who had run webinars before for another organization. I said, look, could you do something for us? And so he did something. It was about, I can't remember what it was about, but it's about doing stuff remotely. And so we did that, and we had over 100 people register. Right. And we thought, wow, this is amazing.
So not only were you propelled to this, but they were already hungry for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And, yeah,
we did this in April. So we went into lockdown March, and we did this in April.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was clear by how you structured the house with, you know, the House of Agile as the graphic, that with the strategy being the roof, you know, that's where we initiate. But technology wasn't just lumped in as a process. It was the foundation. It is the foundation upon which, you know, the House of Agile is built to a certain extent. And
it is,
you know, it's not just a supporting tool. It's an integration and a core to everything else that you are tackling. And it sounds like, you know, FPM of 2018 would have built a very different house. Than you know, the FPM of 2020. And I love that this has propelled you into that need and made you so responsive, not just agile, but responsive to the environment and your membership.
And that is so important, actually, Eliza, because prior to this, we probably would have had a number of committee meetings, written some papers, reviewed them, done a long risk register. Should we be doing this? Should we be doing that? And, you know, it's taken a long time to get to this point. But with COVID, and because we had to act quickly, because we had to act agilely, we just did it. And for me, the beauty about this whole process is that you can do it and you learn as you go along. Right, it's about making decisions, and it's also about being empowered. Right, so I was empowered by the board to lead and make these decisions, but equally, I empowered the staff members as well.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important that you know, you make the point in your article that you know, you wanted to move away from being the sole decision maker. And I think it's critical that you've shifted that culture where people feel that they. I mean, it sounds to me as you've created the structure where people feel confident in making decisions.
Now some might say I'm just shifting the blame.
I call it.
It's brave leadership.
I call it delegation. That's what I call it. Effective delegation. But I think it's a shift in the blame if you're merely creating a culture that everyone is afraid to fail. But it sounds to me as if you've created the culture where people are empowered to make decisions because you accept as as the head of the executive function, as part of the organization's overall leadership team. It sounds to me that actually there is an acceptance that it is okay to fail, because that's the nature of making decisions rapidly. That's the nature of moving things along quickly and being responsive rather than reactive to circumstances. So it sounds to me as if you've not just, the structure isn't the only facet of the House of Agile. It's the culture as well, which seems to be equally, if not, I would argue, more important, in my opinion. But I mean, am I right in saying the culture is sort of, you've seen a demonstrable change?
Yeah, I would agree with that, Andrew. And you've probably heard this thing called psychological safety. People are talking about this, and
I've heard of psychological warfare, which we affectionately call association transformation, the podcast. But
stop it.
But it's really important, and you're absolutely right. That culture of that the staff know that they have permission to try things, and because we're working remotely. I'm not the kind of person who's going to sit on someone and say, right, have you done this? Have you done that? Right. They are empowered, but with that empowerment comes responsibility, right, and trust, right? So I trust them to do what they needed to do, and you're absolutely right in terms of that culture. That's why these things have happened, and that's why these things have worked. And prior to the pandemic, like I said, we didn't really do anything online. Now we have a whole range of products that we offer online, and some in person as well. It's completely changed what we do, and it's led to us opening up income streams as well.
And it's made you fit for the future.
Yeah,
because I would suggest now, or looking at, hearing what you're saying, that actually you've created now that technology foundation is going to allow, as new technology emerges, you're far better equipped now to be an early adopter than to be, a late follower. And I think that from the business of association leadership, positions you incredibly, makes you incredibly well positioned to take advantage of new things that are materializing on the market. I think it's fantastic. That I do think it's so refreshing to see technology not be the bolt-on, not be the add-on, not be the afterthought, not be the headache or the investment that we need to make, which we know so often boards and leadership teams struggle with. Well, do we need to make that? Do we not need to? Can we get away with it, for another 12 months, not making this investment? But actually what you guys have said is circumstances have demanded that we do this, but actually recognizing that those circumstances have changed again, but technology is a constant reality in our working lives and our personal lives as well. I think it's just fantastic to see technology as a core component of the piece. I think it's absolutely critical, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and this is a system that now, considering the Agile framework, can be adopted and continued through whatever disruption or pandemic or socioeconomic shift, or this can stay with you as a filter through which you take on every challenge. Again, what we'll do with we'll link your article in our podcast notes so that the audience can read it. But I not having video here, I want to make sure people understand these 5 pillars. These really are the building blocks of strategy and structure, process, people, and technology. I mean, those are the 5 buckets that really should be driving everything that you do. And are going to help you, go from agile to sustainable. And I think that's really the move that you've made.
Have you seen, since implementing this new approach, this new structure? I don't want to say structure, because structure is one of the pillars, but since adopting framework, that's it. Framework. Since adopting the House of Agile, have you have you started to get good data that demonstrates, members, that members' experience of the FPM is enhanced? Are you starting to see that data come through? I'm always really keen to understand how members experience, because ultimately that's what we're about. We're about the value proposition. Ultimately, we're about members enjoying being part of and benefiting from being part of their organizations. So I'm curious as to how members have responded to it.
They've responded positively, and I think also the other key thing is that it's not just the members in the UK, but increasingly those who are overseas who perhaps didn't have much engagement with FPM. Right. And we're seeing that through the training programs we're offering, the exams, because that was another thing with the exams. Our exams used to be paper-based. And then in lockdown, that first year, we had to move them onto a digital platform. Yeah. So that is now integrated into how we do things. And for the first time, last year, right, we had 12, was it 12 or 16? I can't remember, but people from overseas sit our exams. So we've gone from like 1 or 2, then we went up to 5, now it's got up to 16. And we think that trajectory is going to continue.
So again, you're using using the House of Agile as a platform for global market development.
Yeah.
I love it.
And because we've got the platform, we formed this new forum called the Global Forum. Right. And when I went out for volunteers, and you hear about membership bodies and it's difficult to get people engaged and get volunteers. I'm going to say this: I had 19 applicants from across the world.
There you go.
Wow.
Really proud of that.
The proof is in the numbers, and you're seeing the results of this. How do you now, you've been doing this for 18 months, 24 months now.
Yeah.
How do you use the 5 pillars to kind of measure and check your progress? How does this framework structure how you meet with your board, how you engage with your staff? How do you live this on a daily basis?
So in terms of the people, one of the things that I did was form this the senior management team. And through the senior management team, they have their teams and they operate as a network. And so they support one another. And I'm trying to get cross-fertilization of different functions and trying to break down the silos that existed before so that one part is aware of what the other part needs to do. Right. So that isn't just a structural change, it's also a culture change as well. So it's coming back to that culture thing as well. It's getting people to work differently and think differently. And it still takes time.
So the house has an open floor plan. That's what we're saying. There's no locked doors. Open floor plan for the House of Agile, right? Am I stretching, Andrew? Andrew just made another.
He made a face. He was like,
I don't think you're stretching. It's just the concept of no locked doors. I'm like, I don't know. I like.
All right. Well, there's no silos in houses. I mean, I couldn't.
You didn't.
The fruit lounges
didn't grow up in my house. That's for certain.
Stop. It's an open plan. We have an open plan
living.
Yeah. So and also with the processes. So one of the other things that I'm looking at. So at the moment we're implementing a new CRM and a new learning management system as well. And then once all these things are in place, we're then going to step back and look at how we work, because the purpose of having these new tools in place is to help us work more efficiently. Yep. So what is it that we're going to stop doing? And therefore, what else can we start doing and start doing those higher value things, which we're not doing at the moment because we're having to do a lot of the mundane stuff, which will be taken over by having these new tools in place. So it's about integrating everything into how FPM operates.
Well, and just think how empowered your staff will be and how ready for those big thinking exercises and
it's going to be wonderful.
Those next opportunities. That's exciting. Now, speaking of exciting opportunities, I've heard through the grapevine that you are going to be a part of the Institute of Association Leadership's Summit coming up in May.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my God. Gosh, she's on the pod. She's publishing articles.
Andrew, are you part of this workshop? Are you speaking?
No. They don't want me. They don't want me. Am I speaking? No, I am actually. I am running.
Are you?
Do you know what I am?
I thought you were
but it's only since you got an award. I think you got that.
I'm award-winning. I'm award-winning. No, actually, I think I'm doing 2, actually. I think I'm doing 2. Yeah.
Are you?
But I'm
definitely... This is one, isn't it?
Sorry?
Are you doing one on future literacies?
Doing one on futures literacies. And I'm also doing one on attention economics. So, yeah. But I'm going to make sure it doesn't clash with the session that you're running, because otherwise I'll be talking to an empty room. Boom, there you go.
That's right.
Smooth.
That's right. Well,
the pressure's on.
That is the IAL Leadership Summit, and we very much look forward to having you both. I want to see.
Sorry, Lisa, I'm just going to plug it. I'm going to do. So 26th of May.
In Birmingham,
not Birmingham, Alabama, Birmingham, UK.
What? Oh, I have to get a new ticket. Oh,
original Birmingham. And you can go online now at ial.org to register. Places are limited, and they are going quite quickly. So this is very exciting. So
we'll put a link to the registration for the inaugural IAL Leadership Summit in the podcast notes as well. TheIAL.org is where you can find all that information. And again, Marcia is one of the IAL members. I know she's a part of many of our networks, and we look forward to having her back and featuring her as this house grows and she decorates and she lives it. I'm excited to see how the House of Agile takes on the next challenge. COVID was something that forced you to adapt and to survive and to innovate, even though that may not have been your speed or your culture going into it. But look at you now, and I'm so proud of how far you've come and how willing you've been to take on something different and to shift the framework and the focus of your organization. You make it seem so easy. So you're so graceful in your embracing of change. And I thank you for being a part of this conversation. Andrew, thank you to you too. You're here. I appreciate you showing up.
Thanks, Liz. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no, seriously, Andrew Chamberlain, Consort Strategies, Elisa Pratt, Brewer Pratt Solutions were brought to you as a part of the Institute of Association Leadership, and stories like Marcia's, leaders taking the opportunity, taking the risk, and pushing their organizations into the future, whether it's going to be comfortable or not. This is what we're all about. And we thank you for joining us for this episode of Association Transformation, your award-winning international conversation of association issues, opportunities, and challenges. And we look forward to having you back, Marcia. We invite others to reach out and let us know what you're doing at your organizations to make your little world a better place. And find us wherever you get your podcasts. Make us one of your favorites. Until next time, we encourage you to put your members and your mission first.